Oh. You still don't know how to use what?
This computer, I mean.
Oh, come on.
Well, I'm not sure where that is. Here it is. Okay.
So now everything's organized in SharePoint. Okay. All right, okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order, and it is Thursday, November 14th, 2024 at 6:05 PM. And this is the town council's work meeting. And so right off the bat, I had Becky wanted to do a presentation to us a little bit, or she wanted to talk to us for a few minutes about what she's been doing with the budget. And I have her on the agenda as item 6, but she would like to go now, so she's now item 1. If you are looking on SharePoint at where I have all the documents, they're still listed as being for item 6. Because that's how I put things on the agenda, I put it by item number. Okay, so go ahead, Becky.
Okay, so mostly, I just wanted to make sure that you guys have had an opportunity to review that. And I kind of explained in the email where we're planning to go with that. I always like to look at a budget so I can see every month to month. So that will continue to show every month, because for me, it shows trends. It also shows red flags, like, oh my gosh, why did this number just pop up? That's, not following the flow. So, what I was hoping is if you get this each month, that you'll review it and get back to me with questions. I did mention that there are several things that we're already working on. Payroll, we're still tweaking. It's not, the budget's exactly the same dollar wise, but there's gonna be some tweaking. I thought that utilities were going up, and what I found out is that we had a check that was actually stolen from the post office for Rocky Mountain Power. And so we had to reissue another check. Crystal and I are working on getting information to the bank to try to recover that, because the bank shouldn't have cashed it. So that is what's throwing our utilities up above the 25%.
So there was a check that didn't make it to Rocky Mountain.
Yeah,
Right, somebody else cashed it. And so it shows in our utilities that we had a lot of we'll never get the money back. It was a young guy, it'll never get back. He stole a lot of checks from a lot of places, and we're not gonna get that money back. So, Becky and I'll meet with Candace and talk about how to write it off as, like, not necessarily a bad debt, but how to write it off, so it
at
doesn't
first
show.
we're
as
gonna
a
try to
utility.
recover it from the bank. Because we'll see what happens. So the first quarter budget adjustments have not been entered in here. So we did make just a few adjustments to the budget, which you'll see as soon as those are reported. And we're meeting next month to talk about any things that we need to adjust the second quarter. But what I was saying is that we have some new GL codes, but that doesn't mean that the budget's getting bigger. It just means that we're trying to get better ideas of how these numbers are being split. So most of them have to do with that.
So can you give us an example of just one of those PL codes that you have? Just an example. Just an example.
So if you look on your bucket account, well, 1044,745,
Okay, oh, I see.
and so there's no budget. But if you look at the line above that, we had, like a generic capital outlay. But that's really the church purchase and the remodel money is in there. So we're gonna just try to separate that out, add probably a remodel account so we can keep track of the money that we're spending on that. So there's a few other grade areas in the budget amounts, and those are the ones that we'll be working with.
And I'll give them another example, if you don't mind. Like, if we look at 1044-350, which is contract labor. Okay, we could make an account number 1044-351. And 1044-352, 53, 54, 55, 56, and each one of those would be the different people that we pay under contract labor. And the dollar figure is not changing, it's just documenting who got what.
More detailed, line items.
It's more
And so
granular.
are you going to do that with contract labor, or do you just?
Oh, I was just using that as an example.
Okay.
Oh, the other thing we found out is, as part of contract labor, there's a $5,100 check to Pacific Power.
No,
I was
Rocky
wondering,
Rocky Mountain.
Rocky Mountain Power. And that does.
I know where you're from.
Rocky Mountain Power, and what that was, it's a one-time thing where they had to move a pole. So Gene thinks he may have budgeted for it someplace else, we're working on that, but that, without that number in there, our contract labor is actually online, where it should be.
So when did they do that? Do you know?
Just last week, no, this week. Earlier this week, Tuesday, they did the removal,
But we have to pay for it.
and we paid it ahead of time.
Well, did we have a contract with that? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I thought so.
So that's the contract, but what happened is when we did the budget in June, and I said, okay, I know we're gonna be removing these light poles. So we budgeted for it. I did not put it in contract labor. When we got the bill from them, and I was looking at it, and I was like, where are we gonna put this? And I went, oh, this goes in contract labor, but where we put it in the budget, we have to just go find it and use that.
Oh, I see.
Contract labor, and then it balances.
Okay,
And then it's all fine.
so this is 25% of the year then, basically, is what we're looking at?
Yes.
Right, because it
Yeah.
goes through
Yep.
the end of,
So anything that's over, yeah,
okay,
and there are some items that are over, and we know that there's something that came through that's not gonna come through again, so it's not gonna put us over the end of the year. So there are some items that are over, but that it's okay that they're over. But things like that, if you wanna ask about it, just let me know, cause I have really easy access to look and see what's posting to each of those accounts. So. Anyways, that's what I want to do, is try to give everybody a very clear picture of what's happening with the financial statements and the budgets. And for me, I like to see everything tied, so that's why that colored number at the top. It's like that ties into all the different, there's roads and there's parks and there's water and there's little balance sheets for each of those little income statements. So I have them all tied together to the front page, so that I know that everything is in there correctly. So it makes me feel like it's not getting away from me.
You certainly can.
Fantastic, because I know April's been wanting it in the spreadsheet since she's been on the council. And I would have loved to have the spreadsheet a long time ago. And I like the monthly breakdown, because you're right, you can see trends and it's real helpful. Fantastic, I love it. And I'm
Yes,
sure you're
it's
not
very-
done yet, but I love it.
It's very easy to, I already have a spreadsheet built, so I just plug in the new month's numbers and. it's all-
Yeah. It's easy to kind of look at it, so I'm sure there'll be questions as time goes on.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you very much.
These were because we set up that access. Is this from that My Excel connection?
yes,
That's how we did that? Okay.
yes, so
So
yes,
we-
that's,
When we hired, Becky started, we, changed some things with Cassell, the way things work. And we got her full access, which our treasurer didn't have in the past, did not have full access. And we also put in, we got this add-on called My Excel,
Right,
and, we didn't have that before either.
I
And that
remember that.
allows, we had the
we
discussion.
had the budget discussion
Yes,
on that,
and
yeah.
so by adding that on, she can now do any kind of spreadsheet we want. And so we can get a whole bunch more information.
Watch out, you may demand.
No, that's okay.
Before you walk away, one other question, I just noticed, as I was going through, there was some zeros in your year-to-date, but there's money being allocated, so.
This might be what she was just talking about, and are they grayed out?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Those numbers, we all have a meeting next month,
oh,
and those numbers will.
I see, okay.
And that's right, we're not increasing the budget, we're usually splitting numbers that are already given to,
Gotcha.
out of the report that with each department.
Okay, great. Okay, so before you walk away,
Yes,
one thing I have on the agenda, and this is one thing I have not talked to you about. On the capital, we have a capital improvements committee that meets quarterly. In the beginning, last year, we were meeting once a month because we were trying to get it off the ground and, do what we need to do, but starting January, we'll be meeting quarterly, 4 times a year. The town treasurer is supposed to attend those meetings. And so, you didn't know that, but you know now.
yeah, and I would love to hear what.
Because we're gonna talk about, capital improvements committee later on in the meeting. And
Okay.
so the reason I had put you as number 6 is because we were gonna be talking about capital improvements at number 5.
And I'm,
And I was gonna tell you, you had to be there at the meetings.
well, and I'm gonna stick around.
Oh.
Just like I wanted to get this done.
You wanna get out of the way, okay, fine. Okay, so on to,
Are we gonna talk about the other spreadsheet that she? What was that other
Contract
spreadsheet, the
labor.
contract labor one, what are we?
she just provided that to us. I don't know if
Waiting, is that just information only
That's just
on
a
that?
section, because that always brings up a lot of questions.
Yeah,
And it was high, so in there is that, Rocky Mountain Power that we paid. And it also, we've been paying, Sunrise Engineering, as a town plan, so they've been having some things that go post there too. So, I know that's in the past has been my,
So contract labor is Hinton Burdick, our CPA, Sunrise for the planning. And any other, like we put Rocky Mountain Power in there when that bill came in, because I was like, it wasn't an electric bill. It was a bill to come and remove light bulbs, and I was like, so that doesn't really go in the utilities account, so we decided it really belonged to contract labor.
we also have 2 people that post to that contracted labor too. They're not employees.
But we will contract like Kenny,
So-
we have Kenny do some stuff for the town sometimes, he does under contract labor.
so isn't he contract labor?
No, he's
Oh.
attorney expenses.
Technically, it's contract labor, but they put them on their attorney. We have 2 attorney expenses,
We actually have 3,
prosecutor,
and then our appeal authority.
Okay.
or not the old.
Because I was actually looking, that's one that could be broken down.
But I don't view, yeah. I don't view that as an attorney fee, but I guess we require an attorney to hold it. So
Right, so we put it in.
You put it in there.
Okay,
I forgot about the old.
so since there's 3 attorneys, we could even break that down into the different 3. You know, when we were talking about doing different GL accounts to give you more info, we could even break that down among the 3 attorneys, et cetera, et cetera.
You know, that might really help, like when you're talking about budgets.
Yeah, because otherwise you guys are gonna think it's all heat stone and it's not.
Yeah, that's good.
One other thing that's very unusual this year is our auditing costs are very high.
Becky, can you talk to the mic people that hear you? Sorry.
Thanks.
Getting text.
Oh, we're gonna just say we can't hear it.
Just can't hear.
So,
It really
the
should.
auditing is high, and for several different reasons. Last year, it was like it was almost finished, and it actually took like 1.5 years for it to get done, and then it was almost finished and someone new came. So I'm hoping to get that expense itself down to half or less. what's there just by staying on top of everything.
And because the last audit took a year and a half, they're doing,
There's
this most recent audit, they're gonna have it done in about 8 weeks from now, 6 to 8 weeks it'll be finished. And for this last, they want it done by Christmas.
Oh, I know, we've sent them everything.
I know, so it'll be done, but
They were just waiting on them to.
But they're billing us now because they're doing the audit. And next, it normally would have been billed in June of next year. So the audit expense looks really high because we're paying for like 2 audits this right now. So. Anyway, that's why the audit is.
How about Rod Mills, he, contract labor, or?
He is, but he goes under engineering expenses.
Okay.
Because it's just better to keep track of attorney fees and engineering and not just lump them into contract labor, even though they are working under the contract.
Well, they would be split out, I would think Rod would be split out between roads and water and.
It all depends on what the bill is.
Okay,
When the bill comes in and he's working on water, we bill water. If he's working on roads, we bill roads.
Right.
So it all depends on what he's working on.
okay.
Or if it's the east water tank, it goes on the east water tank. Okay, all right, let's move on. So, I see from Darlene's report that, so our first item number 1 was just to let you know the status of the ordinance that Paul had proposed making the DRC, it's stating that the DRC is a public body, and that was an amendment to chapter 20. And that was approved unanimously by the planning commission last night. So that will be going on our agenda on Tuesday for us to vote on. Just so you guys are clear on that.
Oh, I noticed one thing about, on that, the resolution is that they have Marcy Home still.
Oh,
Listed.
we'll
I
fix
saw
that.
that too.
Yes, because it was prepared sometime ago, right? So we will fix that. I'll make a note here, change Marcy to that. Okay, item number 2, the ordinance that was approving for town council to approve planning commission's choice of chairman and their rules of procedure. They continued that until next month, so that will be on our December agenda, not next week. Number 3, Q&A with Washington County Sheriff about a need for and the impact of a substation in Virgin. As you guys know, I've mentioned that the sheriff's department would like to do a substation in the new town hall when we're done renovating everything. And they've already identified the offices that they would like to make work. And, anyway, I figured what we're gonna do on Tuesday is have the sheriff, or is it gonna be somebody else? It'll be Sheriff Brooksby will be here. And we will do kind of like we did when Ash Creek was going to, talk to us about joining Ash Creek, how we did an open Q&A session. That'll be the first thing on the, agenda on Tuesday is an open Q&A session with the sheriff to talk about why they would like to have a substation and what kind of impact it would have in Virgin. So that's just, this is just letting you guys know that's gonna be on the agenda.
And that's all right. I think we discussed about having some
Public
type of
input.
public input.
Right, that's why this is
for-
here.
I meant for the whole use of the new city hall.
I know,
Yeah.
but there were people saying, what's this about the substation? Don't have the
Okay.
substation handled.
Well, no, I understand, sometimes you gotta run along parallel tracks, so.
Okay,
So,
but, and I know you wanted to have an input, public input on the use of the building, but other than the gym, there's nothing for a discussion about the use of the building because it's gonna be town hall. What other use are you imagining that people think they're gonna do there?
well, people heard, possible use of
Substation.
substation. We also have a discussion of the other lot for possible use as a fire station. And we have individuals that may want to use the building as maybe some type of arrangement to have a post office. I know all the issues, but the citizens have ideas but they haven't been yet expressed to us. We just need to hold a forum so we can hear what their ideas are
Well, this is
before we
their
make
chance to talk
final
about.
decisions.
This is the impact, this is the chance for them to talk about the substation.
And we really shouldn't have public input until we're actually ready for that, because right now it's just administrative. Done through because we've got to establish the town hall first before the uses are
Right,
established.
right, so then the question comes in is,
So that's a later date where we have.
Yeah,
public
So
input.
the fire space, the potential use of the empty lot, I'm not even looking at the empty lot and doing anything with the empty lot for a while.
okay,
I know we talked about fire station in the past and we've got pushback from people on that, I know that.
I guess I'm not expressing myself very well.
Okay,
The citizens desire to have input on that, and I think what they're gonna view us hearing this, and I think it's all right to hear it, is they're gonna view us making a decision on the fire station going into town hall when they have not yet had an opportunity to express their views on it, on the use of town hall. I understand the parallel tracks, I'm just saying that we gotta keep in mind that we still have an obligation to our citizens to get
okay,
input.
I will have another hearing, I'll set a hearing where we can talk about what's gonna happen at the empty lot. Because I have we're not putting a fire station inside the building. I mean, we can't there's no place to put a fire station.
Well, it's not
inside
just
the
that-
town hall.
It's not just empty lot, what citizens have heard is that we're gonna remodel, we're gonna do this, we're gonna put this here, they have not had any input. So my suggestion was, and I thought we were going down that road, that we were gonna have, some type of either charrette or a public hearing for them to express anything they want with respect to the use of that building.
I'll put it on the January calendar.
If, it depends if other council members would like that, if they don't, then I'm the only one, and that's all right.
It's going out in the mailer that I'm mailing out next week,
What is,
that planning and zoning wanted for you guys'
She's not planning and zoning.
I know, but I'm,
I know, it's
you
still fresh.
you started it. The, general plan questionnaire that you guys put together when you were on it. What
it's part
Do
of the
you wanna
general plan
see
questionnaire.
that the town hall, what do you wanna see with this place, what do you wanna see with every lot? A questionnaire is going out,
And what do you want to see with, the ones we're out of there?
yes,
Okay,
so for 3 things, it's gonna be mailed out to everybody in town.
that's great, I think that's a good step.
And we had pushback when we had the open house, and we got a lot of feedback on that too, so we had feedback on what we wanted to see happen.
Right, so at the open house, we had boards where people could let us know what they wanted to do, any suggestions for the place. Now we're having a Q&A with the sheriffs to tell us what would be the impact of a substation should it happen. I can have an open house where we can, or a public hearing where we can talk about what we want to do with the empty lot. But my first goal is to get the building renovated and move into the building. We can deal with the empty lot after that.
And I'm all right with that, I just wanted to make sure that we did not skip public input.
Well,
And,
this is-
and I wanted to make sure that we had that public input.
Okay.
Because I was under the impression we were gonna do that. I'm glad planning commission has taken the lead and has done that with their survey, so that's a good step.
Yes, so this Q and A,
It's just-
it will happen before the survey goes out on planning commission as part of the general plan. So when that goes out, that will be the third thing that we've done to try to get some public input.
And it's good to hear what their proposal is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can then raise it with our citizens that, do they want that or don't they?
Well, I'll tell you, so far, they want a pool, not a fire station.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people who want a swimming pool on that empty lot.
See, that's what I mean, right there.
Because when we saw that, I was like, oh, I never thought about swimming pool.
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of towns have swimming pools, And that's part of their rec and park program.
Even small towns like Minersville has a swimming pool.
Yeah, why can't we have that?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah,
Okay, so anyway, this is just letting you know that the very first thing on the agenda on Tuesday will be, a Q&A with the sheriff. And then we'll be sending out an announcement to the whole town so that people who have questions, or want to hear about it can come to the meeting or attend by Zoom and listen in, whatever. Okay, number 4, the water development surcharge. There is an ordinance that is on SharePoint and a resolution that goes, there's both an appointment, ordinance and a resolution. And this water development surcharge is a big $1.75 for anybody, and it's not per gallon, and it's not per 1,000 gallons or 5,000 gallons, it's $1.75 no matter how much you go over. And this is for excess usage, that's what this surcharge is.
and that's,
And that is people who go over like, 20,000 gallons a month, then what they consider excess.
it's that level that they gave us a presentation on, correct?
And it's a grand total of $1.75.
It's a very high threshold.
Very high. And, so that has to be done by ordinance. Heath has sent us an ordinance and I prepared a resolution because this has to go on the fee schedule. So I prepared a resolution amending the fee schedule and then this ordinance that he sent over. And as I have here, this is required by the Water Conservancy District that we enact this ordinance and, start collecting this fee for people who have. And in my estimation, we're talking 3 or 4 people in town. I know I've seen incredible amounts of water usage by 3 or 4 people over the years. And so that's all who's this surcharge would even end up applying to.
There were a couple of, typos, I guess you could say, on that.
Okay,
We need
let's-
to
let me see.
discuss that.
Yeah, let's see, let me pull it up. Let's see, what item number is this? This is 4, item 4. Was it in the resolution or the ordinance?
I think it was the resolution.
Darn it, I typed that. Okay,
No, let's go back. I think it must have been from the ordinance. I
okay,
don't know why I can't pull this up, but
you could maybe look on, Paul's computer.
Yeah.
you can't pull it up either.
I got it,
It was on 4, the ordinance.
work meeting number 4 right here. That's all it is.
Oh, yeah. All right, okay. This is the ordinance, right?
Yes.
All right, so in the 4th whereas, it should say, let's see. Okay, it says every increasing price of water rights available for sale within should be, instead of with, it should be within.
Okay, hold on,
That's the first thing.
hold on. This is the 4th whereas.
Right.
Yes, this is a PDF, I'm not gonna,
No, the word,
oh, it is a Word document, sorry. Okay, so we'll change that to say within.
It should say sell
Okay.
within the Virgin River drainage instead of draining.
And you want to say ever increasing price as opposed to every increasing
Yeah,
price?
yeah.
Okay, ever, okay,
Take that out.
okay. Sounds like correct.
Oh, and then I was wondering, so when you get down to the fee, I think it's on the next one on the resolution, and should it say it's at the $1.75, should it say $1.75 per month? Is that per month?
No,
Oh, that's not per month.
no, It's when we do the water bills, if they, let's say, I'm just making this number up because I don't know what the number is, but let's just say the number is 30,000 gallons. And somebody uses more than 30,000 gallons that month, they'll get an extra charge of $1.75.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's not, okay, it's only whenever they use a lawnmower. Okay, so was it just that fourth whereas in the ordinance, that was it?
Yeah.
Okay, and then so we are making a change on the resolution or no?
No,
No. Okay.
No,
Okay. All right, so, according to Heath, we do not have to have a public hearing for this, because I put down here for December, under 1A for my December's meeting that's on this agenda. I had that we were going to be having a public hearing on the water development surcharge, and I talked to Heath yesterday, and he said, no, this is not, this is merely an amendment to the municipal code. And it does not require a public hearing. If you look at the ordinance, it's a revision of the municipal code.
yeah,
And so he said, no, we do not need a public hearing, so, we will have this on the agenda on Tuesday to vote. And just so you know, I got a call from Zach yesterday at the Water Conservancy District, telling me that they put Virgin on the agenda coming up on November 21st at their board meeting, because we did not meet the requirements and to have done by September 31st. I mean, September 30th, all the stuff we had to have done. And one of them, they were saying, you didn't enact this water development surcharge. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but I beg to differ with you. If you look at the agreement that we signed that listed everything we had to do by September 30th, this isn't on the list. And he said, yeah, but it's required by the regional water supply agreement. I said, I don't care. It's not on the list of the agreement that we signed, that listed what we had to do. The one thing that still hasn't happened is the lieutenant governor signing off on the annexation into Ash Creek. And I said, it's sitting up there in the state and has been for 2 months. I said, that's not our problem. And
we
more
were
we
only
want to
supposed
follow
join,
up.
yeah.
The Washington County attorney is following up with that. And so I wrote to him yesterday and asked, what's the status? And, this thing got all the way up to state for them to sign. They had to do it got delayed and delayed by the county for 2 to 3 months. It gets all the way up there and the lieutenant governor's office says, oh, somebody forgot to sign this line from the county, so they sent it back. So that the county has to sign this thing and send it back. I'm like, you would think the town might be the one to be messing up. They have messed up everything that they were required to do.
I'm glad it's not us.
So I get to go into this meeting and get raked over the coals because we didn't do it. It's like, not my problem.
What is Zach's recommendation to the board?
To give us an extension. He's already told me that that's what he's gonna recommend. So he said, don't worry, and I'm like, yeah, well, you're making me appear and answer questions and justify what is not our problem. But I am going to point out to them this, we will have adopted the water development surcharge by the time I go to that hearing on the 21st, but it's still not required in there was nothing that required it to be done by September 30th.
There's a good portion of the citizens that would favor us not.
Say what? We canceled? Okay, so I just want you guys to know this will be on for Tuesday. So far, item 1 and item 5 are both going to be on Tuesday's agenda. Then I want to discuss important number, this next item 5, sorry, 1 and 4 are going to be on Tuesday.
And 3 as well, correct?
3, yes, and 3, sorry. So item 5, appointments to and possible changes to the capital improvements committee. Now, when you and I were talking the other day, you said just put on appointments.
Just, yeah,
Yeah, that's what you were talking about.
yes.
But I wanted to talk about whether or not, okay, so we have to have a member for town council.
No,
No, it was the treasurer And last time it was Leroy who was both on town council and the town treasurer. That's what reflects my.
Yeah, but what,
So it's me,
you,
appoint a person from the town council, from the planning commission,
planning commission,
the town treasurer. And then we were having
2 citizens,
2 citizens.
which were 2 large appointments, which was, April and
Randy
Randy.
last time.
Yeah, and they're still on the board. Well, one of them is, I assume one was a 3-year appointment and one was a 1-year appointment.
And I don't remember which one was which.
I think April was a 3-year.
I think
appointment.
so.
Okay,
So we have to just either reappoint Randy or find somebody new, and then we have the planning and zoning appointment.
and I know that from the planning and zoning, I talked to Cameron and he said, sure, he would do it if we wanted him to. But I know, the others were not interested in serving on capital improvements in the past. Maybe they want to now, but I doubt it, but we can check.
Yeah, I would suggest talking to Darlene and see if there's anybody interested. I know Cameron has, and I wasn't here at that meeting, but I know he provided testimony on the CIP. So if nobody wants it, he's a member of the planning
Yeah,
commission.
I
So-
don't recall ever being asked, do you, Kent?
Yeah,
No,
So, so let's ask
no,
Darlene.
I'm talking about 2 years ago when we set up
Oh,
the capital improvements committee.
It was Wyatt. It was,
And Wyatt was the person. who-
I want somebody that's gonna show up and participate, so.
Yes,
I just soon have Darlene recommend to you who it should be. It's your
yeah, so what
recommendation.
I was saying is 2 years ago, no one was interested, but I was like, Wyatt, would you do this? And he said, yes, and then he missed a lot of meetings because there was some personal stuff going on.
Right, but the current board has never.
No, okay, this is us approaching the current board.
Okay.
Actually, I need to look at that, because I think it's just your recommendation, yeah, it's your recommendation.
Okay, and then, so meanwhile, there was, so we have this capital improvements committee of 5 people. And what I want, the reason I put possible changes was whether or not we wanted to add another person. There was someone who was interested, she had put her name in for when we had, were filling the town council position. There was someone who had put her name in, but she had indicated she might miss a lot of meetings. And I wrote back to her and said that was a deal breaker, she couldn't miss that many meetings that she thought she would miss in the course of a year. And I asked her, would she be interested in serving on capital improvements committee if it was available, and she said yes. And this was Sarah Stratton, who lives over on 50 South, right over here across the street from the Galatas. So I didn't know what, if we could maybe make it 6 people on the capital improvements and let her serve, because she's been trying, since I've been mayor, she has constantly been approaching me to see if there's anything she could do to be involved in the town.
Or, yeah, they got 2 options, we can amend it to add a 6, or you can appoint her to Randy's position.
That's true, but I like Randy being on it, I like April being on it, and so I just wondered if we wanted to consider, that's why I put this on here, so we can talk
Sure,
about whether or not we might consider
That's,
amending it to
Would that
say
be
6.
an alternate?
No, just 6 people on it.
So is Randy interested then?
I have not talked to him again, I will talk to him, but I'm sure he is.
If he's not, yeah.
If he's not, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I like having Randy.
yeah, so just let me know, and I will have an amendment to you
Okay,
ASAP.
okay, well, I wanna make sure if there was any objection to having 6 as opposed to 5.
Yeah, and we've been adopting our amendments via after a public hearing, because we're revising, we adopted the plan after a public hearing.
Yes, we did do that.
And that's what the
This last
plan
time.
requires, but I see no problem with saying yes, 6, having her participate, and we'll just
Amend it later.
go through the process and amend it, yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's a pretty easy thing to do, it just gotta go through the procedure.
All right, so what I will do is I will talk with people, but we'll put this on for December, okay?
Yeah, or you could even have it, well, you won't have the hearing, but, yeah, December.
Okay, so that one you can put on December's agenda. Number 6, we've already done that. That was the presentation by the town treasurer. The revision, number 7, revision of the rules of procedure for town council.
Real quick,
Yes,
go back to the capital improvements.
Yes.
If Paul, if you're gonna show up to the meetings like you have been,
I show up as a citizen,
he's
but you have to
sitting
announce
in
it.
the audience.
but if you have two.
Well, I'm just saying with now April being on town council, it
Yes.
would be a quorum.
And it was before. but
It was before because Leroy was on it, me
But-
and Leroy and Paul. were all on it.
We announce it as, well, the rules now require us to advertise it and announce it.
The cap, what?
Yeah, we've always advertised.
But now advertise that there's a possibility that there may be a quorum.
Well,
We can just
it's-
add that on the notice.
honestly, if you're sitting in the audience and
It's
you
not,
don't
yeah.
really say anything, it's not.
Well,
I
he
have a
doesn't, he
tendency to
interacts.
speak.
He does not, he barely interacts, fully.
Okay.
I think announcing that just covers.
Well, we could just put it on the agenda.
But except there may be a quorum of, town council
Right.
present at this meeting.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's the best way to solve it. And in fact, we should do that when there's,
With the understanding that there's no decisions being made.
yeah, that there's no
But
decision.
you wanna
by
make sure
town
you
council.
add that little, no town council decisions will be made at this meeting, so they know even though it's
Yes.
one, and we're announcing it, there's no decisions being made
Yes,
by the town council.
yes.
Okay, so next is item 7, that was the revisions of the rules of procedure for town council. I almost forgot to put that on the agenda poll. And at the last minute, I was like, oh, Paul's gonna rate me over goals if I don't have this on the agenda.
I kind of stopped because you told me that we would have this completed by December, so.
Oh, well, I just
So
put
you
this
got
on
another
here.
month if you need it.
Yeah, but this is for us to talk about. Val is new on town council. She needs an opportunity to review it, see if there's any recommendations you might have or changes. So what happened is I found some, rules of procedure from another town that I liked a lot. And I used that as a template and I made it refer to Virgin and all this, and then I presented it to town council at a work meeting, and we started making some changes. And amended it to add this or take out that or whatever. For example, I know there's one thing I want to change, and I need to find it, but it talked about who can put things on the agenda. And one thing, yeah, this is item 4, agenda item, if you look at number 4, you haven't pulled it up yet, you're still looking.
No, we need to be on.
It was item 7,
We need to be on 7.
and it says
This
revised.
one.
Okay. So go down to number 4 that says agenda item.
Yeah, you were not at that.
No,
When
it's
we
the
discussed
last one,
it, yeah.
yes. And so, as I said, I pulled this up from another town and I really liked their rules of procedure and how they had it laid out. But this says the mayor, the town recorder, or any member of the town council may request an item of business to appear on the agenda. What has been our procedure in the past is the mayor, the town recorder, or any 2 members of the town council. And if I just say any member, then it's not the mayor's agenda.
Yeah, that's been no change from what you wrote.
I know.
Yeah,
I
okay.
know, I figured everybody's like, hey, great, I can do it, but anybody who's called me and said, hey, I want to put this on the agenda, I've never said
I
no.
know.
I've always put it on, but it's just that it should probably say,
Any 2 members.
any 2, yeah. What were you just typing there, Misty? It said Misty Bear was typing something?
I'm just fixing the independent line of the,
Oh, okay.
because last one is the go up here.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Typos?
Yeah, go ahead and fix the typo. And somebody's doing 2. The mayor's
That's me.
doing 2.
I just made a change and then Misty just made a change.
I tried, but it wouldn't let me.
Oh, well, here, let me do it then. Yeah, still say Misty. but,
It won't let you split it though. I mean, put it back up there, that's why I undid what I did.
Interesting, okay, all right, well, we'll fix that in the file. So. That one right there was the only one I was particularly interested in, is changing that back to say 2 members. Even though I've never said no to any suggestion that the town council members have for something they want on the agenda, it comes, can we put this on the agenda, I always said yeah. So, oh, we were going to add, and I don't know if you guys did this at the last meeting, but remember we were going to put in here about, that if we send something to the planning commission, that if we prepare an ordinance, town council prepares an ordinance, and sends it to planning commission, it needs to be back to us within 3 months.
We have
Yeah,
it as
you did
listed.
that.
Is it 3 months? I thought it said 2 months.
It's 2 months.
Oh, 2 months, okay, all right,
And then 4 months if it's, from,
from planning commission, yeah. So those really were, I believe, were the only things I wanted to change. Let's see, you did have some issues, Paul, where you were wanting to have the agenda posted way early, and you and I tried that when I first became mayor, we tried doing a 10-day posting of the agenda.
We talked about that last week and we, or like,
I,
2 months ago.
and that's where I wasn't at the meeting.
And
because
I
was-
think we worked it all out.
We
so.
said something about using the work meeting as our
Preliminary, it's
preliminary,
like,
it's, so we have to stick exactly to it. Cause it's supposed to describe for the public that that is what we're gonna talk about. If they come.
yeah, but we do, what we're doing here, we say, okay, this is
But I
going
can't
to.
remember how we said it. We had actually like a way to
And
add.
I think Crystal talked to you about what the wording was going to be.
And did you add it in there?
On the agendas, whenever we, post the agenda, so that we're not having to do 10 days ahead of time.
Yeah, it's at the top of the agenda.
Where is it? This agenda is also a preview of the regular town council, it's right here.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, this agenda is also a preview of the regular town council agenda coming up on November 19th and December 17th. Because we're not gonna be having a work meeting in December, and that's why I want to go ahead and talk about December's. Okay. So, okay. I don't know that I had any.
And then I don't know when, Mayor,
Uh-huh.
I don't know when you and the other town council members looked at this. But there was 2 blank areas that we left kind of undecided.
Uh-huh.
And so I added just some suggestions today, just because,
Onto this copy, this
Yeah,
one right
and-
here.
yeah, and I'll direct you to them. The first one is under item 6. And it's A, B, C, and I added D, comply with town's code of conduct. Burgess Municipal Code, section 3.08, I think that's the section there, but, it's under decorum and order. It says the majority decision of council otherwise, but it says, it says preserve decorum and order. Then you have A, B, and C. I just added comply with our town code. So we had that code provision, we came up with standards of conduct and decorum.
Yes, I made a change just now, I did something, and I want to undo it, this is in Word, I don't use Word, I can't figure out how do I, what is it?
Control Z.
Control Z. Okay.
You should have.
Command Z, there we go.
Oh, they were just moving it back.
Yeah, I was just moving this and then I wanted to undo it, I'm like, I don't see the undo button. Okay,
And then the other one was, was under 5 where it says proposed ordinance. And it said, enter the procedure, we will follow with the contracted planner. And I just changed that to say town council members may request land use ordinance be drafted by the contract planner.
yeah, because we don't always need the contract
Right.
writer to draft one like this DRC ordinance and the one I read, the planning commission, either one need the, town planner to
And-
do the plan to do anything, it's
and-
such a simple ordinance.
And then the final one is for minutes. We had talked, I mean, there was some, and I don't know where the council's landed on this. But I know some members have talked about having that linked to the
Where
minutes.
is minutes, what number is that?
12.
12.
And so what
Oh, there it is.
I suggested is, for the minutes, I just added prepare in accordance with, should be Utah code, and I've got to add that, Utah code 52-4203, it's probably parentheses
So,
2
Crystal,
parentheses.
isn't that what you do with those little bookmarks that are on in the minutes already?
No, that, what he's talking about
Is he talking
is,
about something else?
he's talking about something else.
And then whenever possible, comments and testimony linked to audio, video. And then I included in the, on SharePoint, St. George's minutes.
Yeah,
I have that
St.
link.
I
Yeah,
saw that, yeah, that's.
St. George's can do
Especially
that.
when you have someone that's giving a presentation, because when you're trying to put the minutes and say what they did at the presentation, where you can just click on the link and you can see the whole presentation.
Well, I know St. George just does the audio, they don't do the video.
yeah,
So
St.
like-
George only
Same
does.
thing though, I mean.
It's the same thing.
But we, right now, I understand that we want to do that, but right now the acoustics, what my issue is the acoustics in this room are so bad that when you try to hear, it's even trouble to hear when you're online, watching on Zoom.
It is.
It's very difficult to hear,
That's
and
true.
that's the recording that we're getting. And so if we link to our recording, it's going to be very difficult for a person to hear. We'll have a really nice sound system when we get in the new town hall. It'll be a beautiful sound system, but as long as we're in this building with the terrible acoustics, it's gonna be hard to hear. We can try it, we can have Crystal work on it and try it, and then you can listen to the minutes, but I think you're gonna find that it's very difficult to hear. And that's partly why, because Crystal and I looked at what St. George does, we looked at that like a year or two ago. And, but the sound in here was so bad, we're like, nobody's gonna be able to hear what we
Well,
do.
and that's what I said, whenever possible, so,
Okay.
so that leaves it up to Crystal, because she may not wanna type a lot of stuff
Yeah,
that's very clear in the video, and then she can link it, and if not, then she can wait till we get to the
New
next
building,
new
yeah.
place. So,
So we'll see. Okay.
that may save her
I'll
time.
link the video to the minutes next time.
No, I would not do the video, just an audio. And I noticed, for example, I went online to, Laverkin, I want to talk about Laverkin. I went online to Laverkin, I wanted to copy something off their Utah Public Notice website for the development agreement that they just approved, and I want to see if a copy was online so that we could look at the development agreement. And it was not on the Utah Public Notice website, but they have their audio recordings on the Utah Public Notice website. And, so I was like, that would probably be nicer than telling people to go to YouTube. But,
Yes.
and looking at the video, they just have the audio on the Utah Public Notice website. But they did not have a copy of the development agreement, and I'll just mention this real quick for those of you who don't know. But, Laverkin last week, at their town council meeting last week, approved a development agreement for the property on top of the Twist, 490 acres. It is going to use 1,600 ERUs, and 1,400 of those ERUs are for homes. And the other 200 are for businesses, and they're going to allow 4-story buildings. I couldn't believe it, but they approved it. And so when you come up the Twist, it starts right before the roads go to Laverkin Overlook. And it stretches all the way to where the BLM land starts, because you know where there's that area where there's camping, and they kind of destroyed that, a lot of campers will get there, they destroyed the land there. Right before that is where it ends. So Laverkin Overlook Road, all the way around to there, they signed a development agreement.
I had a conversation with Paul the other day about that development and how it could affect our night
Me.
sky.
This,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, how it might affect our night skies. I'm wondering, is there something we can do with the town of Laverkin or?
We can try that, but we have to see what's in their development agreement, so I've already written to them and asked, the copy was not online. And I've already written and asked them to please give us a copy so that we need to see what this development agreement is. And I haven't gotten a response yet, so
Was that a unanimous vote? of the
I do
council?
not know. I did not listen to the audio to see if it was unanimous or not. If it was not, I can think of one town council member in Laverkin who voted no. You probably know who I'm talking about. And, all the rest probably voted yes. She might have been a no, I don't know. So, that's going to be a massive change.
Will they have a sewer system up there?
That's why they did this right after this private sewer line is gonna be coming out here. That private sewer line that Ash Creek was talking about, It's going right by there, and that's why they came up with this. And it was one of these deals where somebody wanted to buy the property, but they want the owner to get, like, you know how people come in and they want a zone change because they're gonna sell the property, somebody wants a zone change as a part of the purchase. They wanted a development agreement as part of the purchase, so they've got a buyer lined up, who's already put down the earnest money that they wanted proof of this, that they could do what they wanted to do before they go through with the sale, and so they approved that development agreement a week ago.
So will they be helping in the cost of this private sewer system then?
You would think so, that they'll have to help pay for it. Otherwise, they're not gonna be able to do what they want to do. But 1,600 ERUs. And they did have, so now I know what was going on when I had something going on and was talking with the mayor of Levert, and it was like, I have to run off to a meeting with the Water Conservancy District that was private with them. That's what that was about. So 1,600 ERUs. 4-story buildings, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I was just like, I give it maybe 10 years, maybe, is my estimation for it to happen. It's not, I don't think anything's gonna start tomorrow, I don't think it's gonna start in the next year. Maybe not for another 2 years, but I would expect it by 10.
So where will they access that from?
Well, we're gonna look. And they want a road that, where they do their 490 acres, they wanna build a road that goes back behind and connects up with Sheep Bridge Road.
They kind of have to have that second.
They have to have a second access, and that's where they're gonna do it.
That's nature conservancy property.
They'll go around it. It's not all nature.
There's some
They'll-
private,
they-
it would be all
yeah.
that.
So we'd have to look at the map to see exactly where the road's gonna go, but they plan a road that's going to hit with Sheep. I know. I found this out the day they did the shuttle. When they had the shuttle, the first day the shuttle was open, and we were all riding the shuttle, and somebody mentioned this, and we were all sitting there going, are you kidding me? Well, no. So, then it was tentative, and then they voted on it last week, so I just thought you guys should know.
never know, we hit a recession, that will
There you go, it'll slow things down.
slow it down or stop it.
Oh, I know, one of the things that they said was planned for up there was, affordable housing. You know how affordable housing, people think like Section 8, and it's not that. We know whenever we talk about affordable housing, we're not talking Section 8, we're talking like the middle income. But not these big expensive homes.
And
I would be surprised if that is the case.
Yeah,
With
because
that much
that
dollars they put
always
in.
happens, people say affordable homes and then they build expensive homes. Okay,
So there was one other thing that was under agenda items, which, number A, and they're in green, it says not in effect until January 1st, 2025 with a question mark, but I'm not sure who did that.
That was Misty's.
Oh,
where is this, under number 8, you said?
We
no,
talked about that in the meeting, remember I was adding comments
Yeah,
Where
to
is
some
it?
of these?
so under number 4, agenda items. And then A, in green, in parentheses, at the end of this sentence, it says not.
Oh,
in
not
effect
in
until
effect until
January.
January 1st, 2025?
yeah, my recollection was that was Misty's addition and the one that timed, for.
So we're saying these will go into effect?
No, it was just item A before we did what's required under our agenda. But practically it's not going in effect to January 1st anyway, so.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
so you can make the
Okay.
whole,
That was, I think that was written, we talked about it because we thought it was gonna go on faster.
yeah, we thought it
We
was
thought
gonna
we
be
were
all
gonna have
whole.
approved,
Oh,
like,
like
by
before
the
then.
time we got, yeah, it had.
Yeah.
So-
So it's a moot point now, because it
Yeah.
won't be
Okay,
until-
so shall we take it out?
Yeah,
Should we take
take
it
it
out?
out.
Yeah, take it out, it doesn't need to be there.
Okay, so Val, you just look at this, let us know, make any changes, because we can see who makes what changes. And then, I'll finalize it
For December.
for December's meeting. Okay. Okay, Item number 8, whether Virgin should hire a town manager. Okay, let me close this. Close. And Paul, I saw that you had put a couple of codes for city managers, town managers,
I put,
and so I put one too.
I saw you put, Torque
Toker bills, because I like Toker bills. I looked at Toker bills city manager ordinance 2 years ago, and I really liked the way they had it.
and I put St. George's, and then I had dropped it out when we initially talked about this, what, 5, 6 months ago. I dropped the one based on Springdale.
Yes,
so
and I knew you had done one based on Springdale, you had said that. And when I saw you put that and St. George's on, I went and copied Toker bills and put it on because I really like, and I would be willing to bet that Heath Snow is probably the one who drafted Toker bill's ordinance, because he was their attorney for years. I bet he had drafted that. I'll ask him when he's here on Tuesday, but, I like theirs specifically because theirs makes it clear. There's a specific section in there that says, if there's no town manager, these duties are the duties of the mayor. And that makes it clear. And then here's these duties that are going to be taken from the mayor and given to a town manager, but if there's no town manager, then who's gonna do the job? And so it says it's the mayor.
And we
And
can
I
have, we can have that provision in whatever draft.
And it was mainly that section, that is why I liked it, and I also kind of liked how they had laid out, itemized the different duties that were going to be transferred to the town manager. I just like the formatting, I guess, is what it is. So,
Yeah,
This
it's
is
very
just-
specific, I think. is what
Yeah.
we're going there.
the Toker bill request. So this is just to start the discussion. This was not anything like we're gonna put anything to vote. It's not like it's going on the agenda next week on Tuesday. This was purely to start the discussion, just like we had revision of the rules of procedure for town council meetings on here for a few months while we talked about them. This is the same thing. This is just to start the discussion. We're not voting next week and we're not voting in December. We're just talking. So it'll be on, and we're not having a work meeting in December because our work meeting would be the same night we're gonna be doing the potluck dinner. Remember we had Christmas potluck last year? Doing that again this year, and it's here, same night we would have our work meeting. So I said, well, I guess we're not having a work meeting. I'd rather go have a potluck dinner.
So what night's that
That's December 12th.
for the?
Let me make sure, I think it's December 12th. Yes, December 12th. 6 o'clock. So we could have more discussion on this right now if you want, or the next time it would be on an agenda, a working agenda is January, since we're not gonna have a December meeting. So what, do we want to just wait and talk about this in January, or do you guys want to talk a little more tonight?
So you had indicated that you would look at the budget or actually.
Yeah, and I haven't done that. We would have to amend the budget. We'd have to figure out what we would want to pay a town manager. First off, we just want to say, should we be looking at this? Then if we decide yes, then the question is, what what would be the job description, which of course is gonna meet with whatever this is. What requirements we would have for a person, not skills, that's not the word, but what background we want, as we prepare the job description, and then if we can afford to pay.
And that would be a full-time position.
Oh, yeah.
Supposing,
Yes.
I saw Misty shaking her head over there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Are you shaking your
Well,
head?
you guys already know.
Yes.
I don't know, I'll state them quietly, I won't do them in expansion, but no, I think we're not big enough yet for this. And I don't think we can afford to pay a town manager, because let's just say we pay him $100,000 a year. then we're going to have to include benefits because no one who is a town manager is going to be willing to work for a town without benefits. So we don't have no insurance for them and we have no retirement plans.
Right.
So when we do that, we're gonna have to bump up our full-time employees to town to have
Also
full
be on the same
benefits.
plan,
And so
yes.
you're taking another one where we pay, I'm just gonna say a number because I don't wanna start saying out real numbers, but $50,000, and then you have to add another $25,000 or whatever for benefits to that employee. And then and then like Public Works, another one that's gonna add another $20,000 a year. And so it's not just a one person job we're putting in. This is gonna affect the entire town, because we're gonna have to join the Utah State Retirement System. Because
Yes.
we tried to give retirement to those of us that worked in the office a few years ago, well, a lot of years ago. But, we couldn't do it, and they tried to, offset that with something like not necessarily 401k, it was a IRA type of situation where we could put the money in there, but you can't do that on this level. And so we don't have the money. We're not big enough yet to have a county as town manager. Most towns this size are managed by their public works, their clerk, who manages the entire office, and their mayor.
So,
And we already have a ton of positions that are in place, and we are a small town still.
okay,
I feel like we're overstaffing and we're gonna be staffed for. Okay, those are my,
Let me add one piece to that. You talk about retirement. A lot of city managers don't like this, some do, but a lot of them don't like the state retirement. They prefer to stay with their particular retirement. ICMA, if they're a member of ICMA, they will prefer to have ICMA retirement. So you're right,
they
you've got to
still want
build,
us to contribute to
you
that,
still
which
want to
is a,
contribute
you
that.
pay this, we match it
Yes.
with this. So
Yes,
it's
so-
still another expense.
It's another
added that
expense.
we have to also offer out.
You do not have to do the same for the other employees. I'm saying that maybe we should, but
So
that's
you're-
not a requirement to do a town. You could do money contributed to retirement. It's usually negotiated with city managers. You negotiate the retirement, you negotiate how much money would go into health insurance. And once you get a town manager on board, then you can leave it to him to figure out how to bring the other employees and the timing and whether we can afford it or not to bring them on to, the retirement and system. So it's not all or nothing. It could be just hiring, town manager and then figuring out the rest once he's on board.
Or she.
Or she, yeah. And you've already heard my spill that, so I was looking at the budget, over $2 million budget. Now, I know part of that's with, the sale of, or the purchase of the church, but you're talking over $1 million budget, and that's gonna only increase, and we're having a part-time person managing that. So that's my point of view. You've heard it enough. I think we need to start exploring it. And it's better to start now. It may take us a year, but it's better to start exploring that sooner than later.
so ICMA, I'm sure CMA stands for City Managers Association, but what's the I?
International,
Okay, I went to their website and it doesn't even say what ICMA stands for. I'm like, really?
international city managers.
International, okay, I knew
So,
CMA would be
We
city
put forth
manager.
the city manager and offer him retirement, but we can't offer our full-time staff.
Well,
That's
here's,
the issue.
well, here's what
We do give money to, don't we?
we do. We give them money
We
for
give them
the,
money, but we can't match it in a retirement system.
so I will say this, that when, the last time I was investigating a town manager, which was some time ago, what was proposed was, I was talking with a town manager, former town manager, and, he said that, number one, with all the contacts he has in the whole world of city management, like the ICMA, he knows plenty of city managers who have retired, but still want to work. And his recommendation was that we would look for someone who has retired and therefore they do not need to have retirement and health benefits because they've already qualified. And then this would, get a city manager, a town manager in place that would, set things up, and then when he's ready to retire, you could hire a younger person, but to get going, he would recommend somebody with like decades of experience to get going. And so, and he said that if you do that, then you're looking at somebody who's retired, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting option. So I just wanted you guys to know, that that had been proposed, that was a year or so ago that I was talking with this person, they said, oh, I know people, and I was like, okay. So just throwing that out there, but I have here that we will investigate what the cost is for Utah retirement system and health benefits, we probably can't afford it. I'm worried that we could not afford it, but, because I remember, I was here on town council when we did this before.
Yeah.
And it all fell apart because we just could not
You couldn't
afford it.
provide it, and
We couldn't do
it's,
it.
the expense is too high,
Yeah, so,
and once you start, you can't take back out. So if things were to crash and we weren't having the same revenue base that we currently do, and we
couldn't
had to
get that.
supply it, you cannot get that out, you have to stay in and supply that.
And that's why a lot of city managers, they travel across the nation. We select the city managers 3 to 7 years.
yeah, that's what I.
And so what they want is, they want money, and then they'll do their own either investment, or they will say contribute to Dicey, and they pay no more than. Granted, we need to start thinking about our employees for health insurance and retirement, but it's the same principle, we give them X amount of money.
And I did hear the same, somebody told me the same thing, that the average lifespan
3 to
of a
7.
town manager is 3 to 7 years. And like 5.
Except for
And
spring.
then they, except for spring break,
And
so I was like,
Fawcett was there for a long time.
but they said this is the average, I mean,
But not
you've
right there.
got your outliers, you've got your outliers. They said the average lifespan is 5 years, and then they move on to the
I
next.
worked with one that was around for almost 20 years, yes.
That's not been my experience, is that they only last that long.
But
My dentist is like false.
But the majority is 3, yeah, and then after the 20-year one left, it was 3 to 5 years. So they started to hit that, so it depends if the guy likes it or not.
And they do move around a lot.
Yeah.
Is what I've been told, you'll get somebody for maybe 5 to 7 years, then they move on.
Voluntary or involuntary, they move on.
So I'm hearing that we're going to take some time and explore, yes, all the options. This is not something that's gonna be
Right now.
soon.
That's my way of looking at it, but Paul and I had talked about this, we talked about this a year ago, with a potential. Paul's goal is to have someone in place probably by June.
No, that's great.
And think about-
Once a year,
It was, yeah, it was a year
but
ago,
now I recognize that probably well.
but maybe, but still June. If from what you and I have talked about in the past, when we talked about town managers and why you were wanting a town manager, what your whole thought process was, we would have been looking at somebody being in place by no later than June.
Yeah, and
This is
the reason I said June is because you wanted them in place before you have a new council turn over. You don't want to hire somebody in October, then have a brand new council turn over. So that's why I suggested June. It could be any time, but I suggested June in light that I knew we were gonna have an election, and then our council is gonna turn over 3 spots. Now it looks like potentially 4 spots.
4, yeah. Okay, so yes, we are taking time to think about this, and that's why there's 3 different things on there to look at, see how towns do this and what's involved. Okay, so item 9, so this is not, I just have, we're gonna investigate the URS and health benefits, but, I'm not putting it on the next agenda. Okay. Adoption of the emergency operations plan prepared by Randy, and I put that on SharePoint for everyone to look at. If there's not a huge rush, like we have to vote on this next week or even vote on it in December, but there are certain, things that the emergency manager, needs to do. And certain things that he would like file papers with the state, and would have to have an approved emergency operations plan adopted by the town and filed with the state, for him to do certain things that he would like to do. And so that's why this is for us
And
to
I think also-
review and adopt.
If I'm not mistaken, it also includes the ability to apply for grants.
Some of it, yes, there's some grants that you have to have that, but he's gotten, just since July when he started, he's already got quite a bit of stuff for the town for through grants.
Is there a deadline, with the state on this?
I will check with him. I would say we would want to vote on this in January. That's my goal was for us to vote in January. So we need to start talking now.
It's really quite general. This, it's not
Yeah,
really,
he used a template.
yeah,
It's-
well, I'm just saying, so
I
it's
can
not.
tell you, this looks a lot like the one I have at the school for
Right,
our
okay.
certification. I mean, they are pretty basic. They're not meant to be complicated.
So
Yeah.
is there any reason we can't vote it on in December?
If you guys want to vote on it in December, I can put it in on the December agenda. That's
Or if you
no
put it
problem.
on December and we're not ready, we just
Just
continue.
continue.
Yeah, you know,
I'll
I
say
mean, like I
December.
said, it's kind of general, so I think it's a template
Okay,
and people use it
okay. So I'll put it
throughout
on
the
for
state,
December.
the schools and
Okay.
whatever.
We do it, it looks just like the
All
one.
right, so far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 things that we've talked about tonight that will go on December's agenda. That's good, and then we have 1, 2, 3. For Tuesday. Next week, I've got 3 things for Tuesday, 4 for December. Okay, now there may be nothing for us to do on item 10 about the need to create a floodplain development permit. Because April, you've talked with Shyla, you guys have talked about this, and I believe you guys have already created the permit. And I put on here for item 10, this is the floodplain development permit that you had previously put on SharePoint, and I just copied it over there.
It's really just a basic FEMA, floodplain development permit. And I called the state and asked them if we needed to tweak it for our local community. And they said that most of all of the towns and counties and cities, everything just uses the same permit.
And
So all I
it's-
did was just change, they said it either had to be the mayor as the contact person or the floodplain development administrator,
Which is.
which we don't have one.
Well, our town code says it's either the mayor or the town
County
engineer,
engineer.
So I
And
just
so-
put the mayor, and so we can change that if
but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know anything about floodplain.
maybe we should put the town engineer, I don't know, then so anyway, and then I just titled Virgin Town and we just need to find out how we'd like to incorporate this, if we want to start the DRC meeting, if we want to just have it at the building permit stage, or exactly how we want to.
Okay, because in our code, there's a chapter on geologic and flood issues. And it talks about that people that develop in floodplain are required to have a floodplain development permit, but our town has never required anybody to have a floodplain development permit, even though it's in our code.
Right.
And so, this came up. I already had you working on this, we already had this pretty much laid out before we had this person who came in and wanted to build a house, that came in for a building permit. And Shida was talking to me about it, and I said, well, they're in floodplain. And I said, pull it up, let's look. And, I told her that what I want from now on, when anybody comes in for a building permit, when they have their little checklist of all the stuff that they have to submit, I want them to submit a copy of the map, the floodplain map, showing where their piece of property is in relation to the floodplain, so that we can then say, we need a floodplain development permit. And so she's added them, they have to submit a map
Okay,
showing them, and that's because of how the lot in Sierra Bella, somebody bought it, they came in, wanted to get a building permit, this is all in the past month. wanting to get a building permit, and we're like, well, you're in the floodplain. They're like, what are you talking about? So we pulled up and down to Sierra Villas, and look how much of it's in the floodplain, massive amount of Sierra Villas in the floodplain. And they were going, well, what does this mean? And so we explained to them what it means, and, they got really upset, but it's like,
Which lot was it?
it's up toward the top. 28, lot 28, it's up
Yeah, I
there at the
believe
top.
it.
And it's almost all, it's not 100% in the floodplain, but it's like 75, 80%.
A lot of those,
And there's some that are 100%.
there are a lot that are 100%, and interestingly, FEMA has done a kind of a relook at that area in particular, and I got a message from,
Tracy?
Tracy. And Tracy said that if this new draft is adopted, that some of those will not be in the floodplain anymore.
Oh, okay.
Some of those ones, and theirs was one in particular.
That would not be in the floodplain if they were to leave.
How far off are they on that? Cause that
They
was,
said 2020. Well, I think I said 2024, but obviously it's not. gonna be
yeah, cause it
this
was,
year.
they started doing that,
And like 22.
yeah, it was a long.
It was right after I became mayor, because I had a meeting.
It was
with
before
Grant.
that too, though, they were
Okay.
working on it before that, cause I know that they were,
Because I know
some
we
of
had-
the work that was done like down by White Bison and all of that helped spur.
Yes, because
Some of
I had a
this
meeting,
division.
somebody flew out from the Denver, region,
Yeah,
because we're in the Denver region, and somebody flew out from there, somebody came from Salt Lake, and we had this whole meeting here with what's the floodplain in Virgin, it's like, oh my gosh, and they're like, here's where the map's gonna change, and it's like, okay. So, anyway, even though we now have this flood, we've come up with this permit, we still have an issue, like she's asking, well, how can I build? Because the house is, this lot is in the floodplain. And there's somebody over here that has come to me and asked me how can they build, because their lot's in the floodplain, it's right over here on Water Street. And I'm like, well, you could do something similar to what they do on the coast, which is the house is built up a little bit, so if there's water, it goes underneath, and you're not damaging anything underneath unless you have like a car parked there. But they were like, so 25 feet from there, I'm like, no, it's 25 feet from the ground, sorry, you would only build a one-story house when you did that. But we would have to consider, given how much Sierra Villa is in the floodplain, what are we going to allow as construction, regulations or whatever the word is for anyone who wants to build in the floodplain?
And that's really an engineer question, not a mayor.
I know,
No, but I mean, we would need to put it in our code.
I know when we put in our house, my husband did it before, they had to have it 1 foot of what was considered the floodplain, so they had to they had to put our house up, and it has a cement block foundation, but they had to build it up 1 foot above.
Well, their other topic, there
I don't know where
was,
that's written, that was a town rule.
and it may not be that way
We should
anymore,
ask
but the
them.
hotel, you know, when
Yeah.
when Stu built the Marriott, that lot that the Marriott's on, half of it was in the floodplain, they brought in a lot of dirt
We had
and
to
built
build
it
it
up,
up.
and built it
And
up,
that's
and then
how
it built the,
That was the choice you had, you either built your house up off it, or you
built up the ground.
built up the
So
ground.
these people they were proposing that they could build up the ground, and I'm thinking, okay, and then we get a flood, and
Because it needs to be
where's
reversed,
the water gonna go?
like they said, when
Back
the
up.
water, well, and it won't just do that, maybe it rechannels the water into the neighbor's yard.
Yeah,
And
and I
all
didn't,
of a sudden, these houses that weren't the floodplain are.
Or suddenly get
floodwater
flooded,
Because
yes,
of that house.
So those subdivision plans on Sierra Bella are pretty specific about how, you know, you have to have an engineer determine the elevation based on the floodplain, and then they'd actually have to do the plan and tell you where you could build. I'm not sure why they're asking us that question, it's right on that.
it's in the subdivision, it's in the plat map. Okay, because we did ask when they bought this, and they were like, well, we didn't know, I'm like, it's on the flat now. I mean, because we pulled it up and looked at it, it's like, it's right there.
Can Rod address the floodplain issue though,
Yeah.
for how we need to build with it?
Yeah, we
Because
can
he should be able to tell us, I know we have
Yeah.
something written about it, I just have to find it, but I think Rod could point out like typical state and typical town measurements of where it's at.
So, well, it's based on what the, elevation that is required to avoid flooding,
Right,
right?
yeah.
So it would depend on, it wouldn't always be exactly the same. for
Right,
every
so
block.
like it might not be a foot maybe, but if Jimmy Bill, it could be 3 or 4.
Yeah,
feet,
you might have
because
a
it's so
lot.
much closer to
Yeah.
there, so.
Okay, so what I have here, so what. I've got a note here that we are going to look at whether or not there's any amendments that need to be made to the land use code about how to build in a floodplain, and we'll talk to Ron Mills about, having a look at that for us.
And I think April's comment that should probably be the town engineer.
That's what we said, Ron Mills.
That's what we said, Rob.
We're gonna ask Ron Mills.
So we'll change this
On the permit.
on the permit to Rod Mills.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
On the town engineer.
yeah, sure, yeah. Okay. So that brings us to item number 11. So we have this guy who is operating the BMX track, and he asked the other, maybe 10 days ago, if we would be open to selling the land that the BMX track is on to him, and then he would, just maintain that farm. So if I have a list here from him of all the work that needs to be done over there, if we want to make this a viable BMX track, and the town would be paying for all of this. And this is why he was asking whether or not we would be open to selling it to him. And, I can say, after reviewing this thing that you sent over here, Paul, that you sent, that Lori sent to you, that I put it on here.
Yes.
Okay, that says, let me bring this up larger so I can read this. I don't know. It says, if the payee or its successor in interest attempts to transfer title or control over the land to another, or the land is devoted to a use other than that for which it was conveyed without the consent of the BLM, then title will revert to the US. So, if we tried to transfer title without I think that even if we went to get the consent of the BLM, that they would say no. I think they would reject it, and the reason why is, you know how they had all the land around the BMX track, they had told us they were gonna put it up for sale, and then they took it off. And I called him maybe a month ago, I called the director and said, hey, since you're not gonna be selling that land, can the town lease it, or what can we do so the town can acquire it? And he said, oh, we haven't taken it completely off our sale list, it's just been moved down to the bottom of the list. And he said, it's not on the for sale list. And he said, we won't be taking it off the for sale list. So my thought is, if anybody went in to say, could we sell this BMX track? They'd say, no, we'll take it back because it would make all that other property more valuable. Just to have that donut hole filled.
Plus, even if this was not a patent BLM land, we would still have to provide 14-day notice to sell property and have an ordinance for sale.
Oh, yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. The question is, did we even want to consider his, he just asked, would we be interested? And I said, well, the only way I can do this is talk to town council.
How about leasing?
From the BLM?
No.
Oh,
leasing
leasing
to
that
that
to him?
person,
I don't know.
I think you have the same problem.
because then he could do all the improvements.
I think you still have the same problem.
So I'm gonna tell you,
Reversion.
here's what all he has said needs to be done to make this, you know,
But I'd like to see the list of improvements, because that could
I've
be,
got it written right here.
that could be, some of them may be impact fees.
Yes, so here's what it is. Here's what the list of improvements that he wants. Windows and repairs to bathroom, new windows, and then repairs to bathroom,
That's not,
shade structure for the bleachers and staging area, resurfacing of the track, more bleachers. They need to they will need to update and replace the lighting after the new lighting ordinance goes in place. And they have asked for a new starter gate and a PA system, and meanwhile, we still have to run electricity out there. And we got a price 2 years ago, March of 2022, we got a price, so 2.5 years ago. We got an estimate from Rocky Mountain Power of $35,000 to bring electricity out there. And we did not do that because it's $35,000. And then you add all this other stuff that he's saying needs to be done out there to make this a viable track. Because what happened is after Santa Clara built their track, and I tried, when Bruce was mayor, I tried to get us to partner with Santa Clara, with what they wanted to do and have some regional BMX track. Bruce was like, no, we're our own track. I said, okay, well, Santa Clara is now the track. And all the people that used to come here go to Santa Clara. And so he's trying to build back up the clientele, if you wanna call it that, at the BMX track, and he's done pretty good. He's got some more people that come out here, but if we want to get like the USA BMX people to sponsor the track, we have to have a lot more people, and the only way we're gonna get that is to put money into this. And so this is,
I'm working on, and I hope to have to the council, was hoping to get it by December. And I didn't send that to you as a possibility, because I knew I had time, but if not, by January for sure, with an RFP to do our, pulse plan.
okay,
And improvements obviously to BMX.
would be part of that.
Big part of that.
Well, I was pretty much gonna tell this guy, no, we're not interested. Oh, no wonder I would get this. This, somebody forwarded this to me. They have an old email address, way older. Okay. So
But you're
I was
right.
gonna tell him no, but I had at least presented to you.
Yeah, and you're right, if BLM still has it on their list to sell. I'm assuming that now with the change in administration, it will probably be moved up on the list.
I would think so. And my thought is if they're going to sell the land around it, and we were gonna say, hey, we're gonna sell this land, they're gonna say, no, just, we'll take it back and we will
Yeah.
make it ours, and then it just increases the value of that land. So they're not going to sell it. In my mind, they will not let us sell that.
And we would want that document that gave us the unlimited BMX track and look at it very closely
Yeah,
for diversionary issues.
Yeah, it's in file. I had pulled it out to look at it maybe a year ago for a different reason, but it's in the file, we got file in the file. Okay, so I'm just gonna mention that for December, we're gonna have a public hearing to adopt, we're gonna amend the budget. We just amended the budget last month, and it should have been done in September, and I didn't do it in September, I did it a month late in October. And so now we're going to be amending the budget in, December. So just let you know, we'll have a public hearing in December for that budget. This ordinance had to go back for a public hearing and planning commission in December. So it will be to us and we have to adopt it on the December meeting. And then you, Paul, wanted this, said you were potentially gonna have this resolution to increase the resort tax.
Yes,
You think you'll have that for us?
yes.
Okay, and then capital reverse referral to BZ of ordinance requiring short-term rental and oh, yes, we talked about this last month, yes. About they requiring them to post their permit numbers on a website such as Airbnb and VRBO and all
And I'll
that.
have an ordinance, hopefully before December.
Okay, and then the new meeting schedule. So I had a couple of things that I wanted that, as always happens when it comes to doing these, work meetings, stuff comes up at the last minute of things that I had not had on the agenda when we posted it. So I will tell you, we talked about this thing called the VAC the vacuum excavator, we talked about that?
You did.
Okay, so we got bids, we got 3 bids, we got a high, a medium, and a low bid. So the very basic, I'm gonna read these really quick. The very basic one was 37,000. So move things around. High, mid, high, low, absolute low end was one where the price was $37,000 for this, vacuum trailer. The mid to high end, and this is the company Vermeer, they're the company that came out and did the demo. Their price is $71,000. And then the super nice one, the high end, was anywhere from $130,000, $120,000 up to $130,000. Whether it was, the difference was whether it blew cold water or hot water. Now, Nick came to me today and asked me if I had presented these bids yet to us to consider buying this vac trailer. And I said, well, I haven't presented it to town council yet. And he said that Vermeer, that the, companies have called and said that they're trying to make some sales before the end of the end of the year. Vermeer would discount their price by 30% if we bought it before the end of the year. So 71,000. And if it was the exact same one that they brought out as the demo, they would probably consider it used at discounted even more.
So what would that bring it down to?
Well, not looking at the used, but just reducing it by 30%. We're talking 21,000, so from 71 to 50.
That would be the low bid,
And that's, well, no, the low bid was 37.
37.
But
Oh,
this
no,
one,
that was how much you take it down. Okay.
that would take it down to 50.
So take it down to 50.
So is
And
this,
this was the mid to high end, the mid range.
could this trailer be shared between communities, I wonder?
Well, I know Hurricane has one.
Can we lease
Hurricane
it from
has
them?
one. What?
Can we lease it from them? I mean, is it something?
Well, we
go
thought
and say, "Hey, we have a dig, can we lease it?"
Well, we talked about doing that for this recent water issue that they had about leasing it. But then you have to go pick it up, bring it back, and you've got this water leak that you're trying to fix. And you've got to try to go and hope that they have it there and then go down and pick it up and bring it back to do this. So what I was telling you guys the day I watched this demo, went down and we chose a place down here where we knew there was some work that needed to be done on this water meter. And it took I videotaped it, and beginning to end, it took 5 minutes. And this thing had totally excavated the thing down like 5 to 6 feet in the ground. And we couldn't even have, if we were using the, backhoe, in 5 minutes, what would we have done? We certainly wouldn't have done that. It was amazing. It was a shocker to watch this thing at work.
Have we
And
asked
how
Rick
it
is working, the maintenance on it, if it breaks, if it.
Well, I don't know.
Track
I have,
history of using it?
I don't know how long we've had theirs.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been very long. I did see it driving down somebody driving it down the road the other day. I was just driving along, and I'm like, hey, I know what that is. You know, it's like, I don't know what that is.
Could you give me a brief,
She wasn't here.
Yes, she wasn't here. What this is, and why we need one, how often would we?
Every time we use it every time there's a water leak. Okay. So, for example, we had a water leak over by, off 295 East. And I went over to go check on things, and they had brought the, backhoe. They dug all around, they got out the asphalt, and then they dug, and at one point then, Kitty got in there with a shovel and was shoveling out the dirt. and it probably took them 2 hours. This thing did it in 5 minutes.
Wow.
All they had to do was remove the asphalt, bring that thing over there and all out. 5 minutes, and it was excavated 6 feet deep. And meanwhile, it took them 2 hours hand shoveling, using the backhoe for some, and then the rest of it was getting there and doing it by hand.
And do we know what that cost?
However much per hour that
Right.
we are paying
Right.
for, Kenny to come and help.
Right.
And now, of course, we're about to hire our, assistant that had been advertising for. And so he would be there, but still, you're looking at the hourly rates for people versus the, 5 minutes I've got the video that I can share with you guys to beginning to end, it's fine.
So it's simple that anybody can use it, I mean, like, our public works guys would.
Oh, yes.
easily able to.
Yes,
Does it
so,
take special training or?
oh, yeah, they get some training on it, but it didn't take much.
Okay.
It was, so there was a guy, basically picture your, power washer with a really super powerful, slightly longer, rod that you use when you're using your power washer. But I wouldn't want to be, it's bad enough if you have the power washer at your home and you could injure yourself, but the pressure coming off this thing was like, holy cow. And so what happens is, you've got the pressure washer, and this guy is using this pressure washer around, and it is going such high pressure that the dirt, everything is coming up, and at the same time, you've got this vacuum tube, this big tube that comes down and just sits there and sucks up all the water, and it sucks it into this, let me find this picture here.
So how does this thing move around?
Trailer, it's on a trailer.
So you need to buy a.
So here's this one, see how it's got this big yellow round thing, sort of like you see on propane trucks? And, or you see septic tanks that kind of look like that. So this has a big tube that just, a vacuum tube, that it sits there and you put it in the hole while you're doing the water.
Right.
And it just sucks it all up and it sucks it into here. And then it separates out the water and the dirt. And there's a thing that the dirt goes into, and when you get it all done, you've got this 6-foot hole that was very nicely done. And all the dirt is in this trap. Put it right back.
So would we need to purchase a trailer?
No, it comes on your,
It comes with a trailer.
it comes on the trailer. That's part of the price. So these are what they look like.
And what do they call it exactly?
It's called a vacuum,
Excavator?
So I just asked, your public works in, or him,
thank you. Dr. Chase,
yeah,
okay, what did he say?
said best thing ever, especially in muddy situations or around utilities.
So question though, we've been talking about getting the backhoe.
Oh, we won't get it.
First is this, but the backhoe has multiple uses, this has.
Well, we're gonna just repair the backhoe that we have. Remember, we have a backhoe.
Right.
And there was a
But-
proposal to buy a new backhoe.
Correct.
And then Nick came in and said, let's just repair the backhoe and get this. And he said, this would be a far better purchase than getting a new backhoe.
I think it's because they use the backhoe so much for digging water leaks more than anything.
Anything, and this would be for water leaks.
And that's where Nick was coming, when he was thinking, I use the backhoe more than anything to dig for water leaks, and that's why I meant.
Yeah, he just did say to me today that something happened when he was using backhoe just the other day, and he almost got hurt. And because of the problem.
So my question is, so if we bought this and maybe Rockville needed a water line fix, couldn't we contract with them to fix their?
I don't see why not, or
Or-
that we can let them rent it from us, just like you were talking about leasing
Yeah.
it, that they could lease it. I have no idea, I have to talk, I've given Springdale's money that they need to spend every year, because you can't just accumulate money, you've got to spend the money that you have. I'd be no surprised they didn't already have one, but I can check and see. Well, we can, check the Public Works Department in, Springdale.
Maybe we could use theirs.
Well,
Yeah, good luck, they're gonna stay.
I was gonna say, anytime I have approached Springdale saying, hey, could we do this? No.
Yeah.
What about this? No.
That's everything.
Everything
with
you
that.
ask Springdale, no. Like, okay. So so we can talk about this again, or we can get the answers to your questions about how it works with Perkin. Although we did just get an answer from Chase
So
that
how
they
long do
consider
they
it
have
the
it?
best.
Like,
How long have they owned it?
that was my question, is longevity, how long does it actually last? Because that seems like a lot of sucking through filters, and we all know how that works,
Well-
pumps and.
Well, I will say this, we went for a period of time when Dan Harsh was our public works guy, it seemed like we had a water leak every 2 weeks. Then we hired Chase and we had like no water leak for 9 months. And then all of a sudden there were some water leaks.
Well,
And then we hired,
the funny thing is,
Nick, and Nick comes in and it's been water leak, water leak, water leak, water leak, water
Right,
leak.
and
water leak.
I don't question the necessity of, and the economical efficiency of it. What I'm asking is though, like when you go buy a car,
Yeah, how
you
long?
look at the
years?
board, you look at the dollars, and you say, what is the length? What is the durability of this machine? And you're talking a lot of suction of rocks and sand.
Or do we refer it to the capital improvements committee?
he said it's multiple uses, it's not just for water leaks. They use theirs for several different things, cleaning out storm drains, sucking out meter barrels, and leaks are the main reasons they use theirs for. I just asked them that question, so.
How about the length?
I just asked
She's
them.
just waiting for
It's not the fastest, someone.
Yes, but we also are running up against the end of the year.
Yeah.
And for the price to go down $25,000,
Okay.
that's pretty big.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a pretty big discount to go from 71 to 50.
Assuming that's the one we want to get.
Yeah, well, the only other one was the one that was 120,000. Cause it
How
will,
much repair they had to do on that machine? That's,
He says they have 3 in Hurricane that they have, and they've had them for about 10 years.
oh, okay, I saw that.
well, how much repair, well,
I'm sure it's a maintenance then, cleaning filters and.
I just,
all that stuff.
I'm sure it's maintenance, but they have 3 of them and they've had them for 10 years.
yeah, and so you know, sometimes you get equipment and you're like, this is the best thing
So-
ever.
So
And then it
So
turns out
they've
to be
obviously
like-
purchased more than one.
if you can text them and they can get back to you off the top of his head, what is the O and M per year for one of those?
Operating and maintenance.
The other thing I would like to know is which models they got.
Which models they got, yeah.
Is he working there now or is he at Interstate?
No, he's working there.
He's had over.
Can, ask him if we can do a filter. One of us or something.
Can we just have Vermeer come back and do another demo?
No, she's asking what ones they got.
Which ones
Oh,
do they?
yeah.
You don't want to know,
Go down there,
like,
work
work
building.
when you go down and ask, what is the brand that you have?
Well, ask them what brand they have.
There, that'll solve it. Guys, it takes me 5 years to buy a car. I've already had outside, my husband researched inside and out, so these are questions I asked.
Okay.
Even when I bought like a KitchenAid at home, I had to go through everything to make sure it was right.
I think
And I bought a
that's-
Bosch too, and I should have stuck with the tried and true KitchenAid. But you know what I mean? It's just kind of,
That's what Karen's going through now, gonna replace some appliances.
Right.
Not until she's
cause
researched
you
them all.
buy there's one that starts with an S and ends with a sun. And I can tell you right now that every person I know that's had one, it doesn't work. Live up to that. And then you get one that has like just 2 letters. And it doesn't work either, but then you go with the tried and true General Electric or whatever, and it's fine. So that's why I ask these questions, you have to ask questions or you don't know.
And I'm always of the ilk, I don't go for the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
I don't
the
go for
bottom.
the top of the line, I
You go
usually
for the
go
middle.
in the middle.
And then you just have to ask
This
the
is what we're talking
questions
about, we're
to
talking about
make
the
sure
middle.
that is the middle. And that's why I'm asking questions.
Okay. And that's why we're talking,
Right.
so we can ask, we should have just told Chase to come to our meeting.
I,
Right. He says they have one watch and two ditch witches.
Did,
Yeah.
I've seen those, that's, okay, now I know exactly what it is.
okay,
Now I know exactly what it is, okay.
those
One
are,
is as a watcho or watches, WACHF, and then two ditch witches. See what they are.
So
I'm
like
waiting for
that,
your question.
the ditch witch,
He's probably like, oh, I
Ditch
should know.
ditch witch, I have to check the pricing on.
okay, I will have to check the price on Ditch Witch, but, we'll see who can
Just to
match
see if
this
it stacks
price
up to
on
the
her.
veneer one, right, but for Mary, and then like. I'll,
Okay, we'll investigate, we will do some more investigation.
I can Google some things too and go to Consumer Reports, but.
Okay, so I've got two more things and then we're done and we're going home. This one thing that's on, if you look on SharePoint, down at the very bottom, I have Rasmussen bills.
Yes.
Okay, so pull that up, you guys, and we will talk about what's going on here. So we've highlighted in yellow on each of these bills. Crystal highlighted in yellow, because I told her I wanted to see every bill where we paid for anything to do with GIS mapping. So they prepared for us. And the very first bill is from September 20th, 2022, and you can see this bill is $9,268. Then we go to the next bill, which was a month later, of November. And here is a bill for $3,780. Then the bill in January of 23. We have around $400 for, no, around $500 for anything to do with GIS mapping. Then we have March of this year, just 300. And then recently they came to show us the updates that they did to our GIS mapping. So total, we've paid them, what are we looking at? 10, 13, 13.5, 14, well, maybe $15,000 for doing this GIS mapping. The GIS mapping is, pull it up here on this, on my phone. And this is the mapping that has our water system, okay? It has everything to do with the water system. So we have asked them to give us the data. And they said, no, we did it, we bought it, it's ours.
What does agreement say?
There's no contract that is prepared,
Okay,
There's just that resolution.
just the resolution.
I think maybe you might want to sit down and have a visit with you.
I will, but I just wondered, I wanted you guys to know that what was going on and that we will be, I was totally assuming we're having a meeting, but, one thing that happened with this water leak, this thing that happened over there on 165 North, those pipes were not on our water.
And I think we need to take a look into what kind of contracts we have with this. With, Pro Value Engineering, and examine which ones we need and which ones we don't, and
I don't know that we have any contracts with ProRoute. I don't believe any contracts were done, even though he was appointed as the town engineer, he's clearly the town engineer. To me, this is town work product.
It's town work product.
Town work product.
If he was doing, yeah, I would say so.
And so,
But how, he's no longer town engineer, so what was the one in 24 for?
they just updated the map.
Okay.
All they did was update it, and, cause I had told them they had some things wrong on the
Oh,
map,
okay.
and they.
So what's the request we sent to him?
Are they updating without?
Okay,
a
then that's
request?
legitimate.
Only upon our request are they
Yeah,
updating?
I got it.
No, I had told them there were some things wrong,
But
but,
updated again, and I'm just asking if there's so.
I'm trying to remember exactly, because they came to the office and got all our old water maps. And there was quite a few things, because Sunrise came and got our water maps, Carl Rasmussen wanted the water maps, Ron Mills wanted the water maps, they all wanted all these old water maps, they all scanned them in. Because they've got those big scanners for these things, and so they scanned them all in, and, it was just interesting to me that all the different engineers wanted our water maps all of a sudden. And then they said, hey, we've updated your GIS map, and, here, I'm gonna present you with what we did. And so they came over, and I would have to, unfortunately, I cannot see what the map was before the update, because all you see is the current map. But when you go in and go to ArcGIS to bring up the GIS map, it is, it's only the current map, so I can't see what the map was before. But in the meantime, and we don't know why this is, but I can pull this map up in the app on my iPhone, and everybody who has an Android cannot pull it up. They go to the same app, they download the same app, they try to put in the same thing, and it wants you to log in with your account, your user ID and password for ArcGIS. We tried putting in our account information for ArcGIS, wasn't working. So we called and talked to Carl Rasmussen's office. That's when they said, well, we own it. It has to be ours.
I don't understand how they own it when we paid.
That's the whole point. That's the whole issue here.
Well, no, and we also have to look at 10-3-903, which says that the city engineer is custodian of all public improvements, and he shall be the office of record for all maps, plans, plats, profiles, drawings, final estimates, specification and contracts, which in any way relate to the public improvements and engineering affairs of the city. And those were acquired when he was our town engineer. So there's an argument that that's not his either.
It's not.
That's why I said talk to you on that.
Yeah,
But in the meantime, are you updating without request?
I understand what you're saying.
I know. but
I
I'm
understand.
asking-
And I do not know why, I do not know, even though I had told them there were some things on the map that were wrong, I told them that a year ago. Why they suddenly updated, I don't know, but they've also done a zoning map for us, and same thing. They've now done a zoning map, and they billed us for it, and we paid them for it. And so now our zoning map is on here, is also on ArcGIS.
But so they can just at will go in here and update and send us a $300.
Because to them, that's their product,
It is
that's
their product.
But we're paying for it.
They should update it without our.
I understand,
initiation.
I understand. I get what you're saying, but what we're saying is we don't even have a contract that was ever signed with them. And if you go to
So
like
stop paying them.
Virgin Water System.
Okay, yeah.
Stop
Well,
paying them.
Okay, I'm sorry, the last bill was paid. So,
No, I mean perspective.
it was only like $300. The Virgin Water System, if you prick it up and you say view details, says owner, Pro Value Engineer. And this is what shows up on it.
That's unbelievable.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, no. As long as I'm on the town council, you better think about what he applies for the town council for jobs here. I mean,
Say what now?
if he's gonna take that position, then I'll take a hardline position on hiring Pro Value for a project.
For projects for the town, yeah.
And
So-
I think we need to talk to Heath and find out if there's
'Cause he's.
if there's a way we need to pursue any type of litigation to get that information.
Okay,
Can we
I
send a
figured,
letter that
I
says, do
figured.
not update the system, do not update.
without.
Any updates will not be at our expense unless initiated by the town. Because that is, looks like that's what's happening, and this one update was $700.
Okay,
That's
that was,
Not
that
three
was
hundred.
paid. So we made it close to $15,000 all for GIS mapping. Okay, yeah. And so I just wanted you guys to know this was an issue. It wasn't anything I really needed to bring. Now, that's what I thought you guys would like to know.
We've got our tax system in that time and have not using it.
Probably, we could have done all kinds of things for that amount of money.
And one of the things, just thinking prospectively, is that to draft a little ordinance for a municipal code that talks about city engineering and what they, the town engineer, what they do, how they're hired, and the fact that
Anything
everything
they do is our work, our work.
are work product.
Yes,
So I'll go ahead and draft that for a future meeting.
okay, this is.
So that way it will cover problems in the future.
Out our request.
Yeah.
So last thing,
I agree with you, Steve.
last thing,
Real quick,
what, yeah, what did we try to say?
he said, to your answer, not bad, it just depends on what breaks. But, and then I told him I'm looking at maybe spending about 50,000 on one, and he said, well, you'll probably have to find a used one. Because
So
they've
he's saying
obviously,
that's a deal.
he's saying that's a deal.
Yeah.
He said both of our ditch witches were used when they bought them from her. So, he said Virgin probably would need a big one, they purchased really big ones,
Yeah, okay,
so.
all right, last thing. Today, Tony Boyd came in with this, you guys have not seen this, because this came in like before I left the office at about 3 this afternoon. And this is from Tony Boyd, and he is asking to be basically I think he made an error on this, he says Robbins Casita, but meanwhile, this was not the Robbins Casita. This was that 2-car garage in Desert Gardens. By him getting a building permit. Getting his plans approved, getting a building permit, starting the work. Then we say, wait. It cost him $7,000. That he would like to be reimbursed.
To do what?
Because of what he had to do to change it, he had to move the pad, he had to,
Well,
his argument is, my plans were approved.
did he show a setback on his plans?
What?
Did he show the setback on his plans?
Well, the argument that's what I was asking Crystal, did he comply with our setbacks before they approved the plans? And what she was saying that she and him talked about was, until this, everything he's done has been in Rio Design. Rio Design has setbacks that are different from the rest of the town, and he just was going with the setbacks he's used. He's used it for everything he's built. And in Rio, they have different setbacks. And so, he just was proceeding like he did with every other house that he's built, all these 25 houses that he's built in Rio. And, just was using that as the setback. And then you guys said, hey, wait a minute, this is wrong.
Read the
And so, I know, but he was proceeding with the belief that what the setbacks were in Rio or the town setbacks. He didn't realize-
Assuming things.
he didn't realize that he did not realize that the setbacks in Rio were different from the rest of the town.
When you building
Yeah, no,
houses, you should use the code every single time you build a house, because it changes.
So ask the question.
If he's in the business, he should know that setbacks
Right.
vary from zone to
But
zone.
his point is, his plans were approved and he got a building permit. And then they come back and say, wait, these setbacks aren't right.
So did he have on his plan a dimension for a setback?
I don't know, I would have.
Well, if he did not, then if the plans were approved and he did not have that dimension on there, it's not the town's fault.
Okay, all right, I just wanted you guys, I told Crystal I was gonna bring this up, and I'm gonna get all the questions that you guys.
So
come
what
up
is
with.
the other issue, just the pad?
It has, roof trusses, cause the roof had.
I believe the height was approved and that showed on his plans. I'm getting bits and pieces from the story, so
Cause she was not the one who gave her the building permit.
I'm not the one that showed
Doesn't
that,
do
it's
that
the deck to the deck now.
So anyway, you
But-
have to go into all of
Yeah,
that.
I believe it was the height, was approved, but then according to our code, that was not right, so in his plans, it showed the height, but something where he had to change the height of that.
Yeah, it was too high. It was over our height limit.
Yeah,
So he's arguing that, his plans were approved. He proceeded to get started, then discovered all these things were wrong. And he had to move the building back 8 feet, lower the roof, and so it cost him this much.
and I believe it showed it on his plans, the setbacks are already on his plan.
So it's
But the wrong setback.
we can review it and see if the town is at fault.
There is that question.
Cause I feel like this would be.
So what you wanna know is, were the setbacks shown on the plans and what were they?
And, yeah, and actual dimension,
And
and the same with the roof height.
do we, when we review, my question is, when you're reviewing the plans, are you reviewing the setbacks too? Or are you just reviewing the building structure?
Well, are you reviewing the size of a door? Are you reviewing like the plumbing? I mean, does our building permit person know enough about construction to say whether or not something is correct on
That's
the
where
plan?
Lance.
That's where
Lance
Lance
has
That's
had
Lance.
years and years.
Right.
Lance is the building, what's his building inspector?
He used to be the
So
building
did you
inspector
review
for
the plan?
Yes,
Before
he reviews the
building
plans
permit?
before they even
and
get
he
to.
signs off. We can't do anything with getting a building permit until Lance reviews them and brings them back with his signature.
So because he is paid by us, does that mean we're responsible for his work?
I would say so.
Yes, because we contracted him to
Yeah.
finish the work, or do the work.
But he does not, his job is not to review the plans and see if it complies with our code.
That's what I was.
That's
thinking.
not his job.
That's what I was.
His
thinking.
job is to look at from the
And
building
It's
perspective.
as international building code.
Yeah.
And that, when we're approving the building permit, I think that's what we're approving. We're not approving the location on the lot. We're just approving
Or.
the building plan and the structure and all that, but not where it's sitting
But
on
when
the,
the town stamps the plans,
that doesn't mean
we
it's,
should be stamping them with our approval that we've checked, and gave him the permit, that the setbacks and the height are okay on our due diligence.
So are you saying the dimensions were shown on the plan?
We're gonna go look and see. We have to look and see. She didn't look at the plans. She wasn't the, she's not the building person.
I'm good.
Right.
They're
She
giving
hasn't
us,
done it for a year.
they're giving us the surface of the explanation,
Yes.
and then they're gonna research, they
Yeah,
want to
And
know.
so what are the questions that you guys have? So you wanted to know what were the setbacks that were on the plan, and you've asked what was the building height that was shown on the plan.
Those are the two issues that he has a problem with, is that correct?
And then does Keith need to step in on it, or?
I will ask Keith about this, but I just thought this was handed to us just like 3 o'clock this afternoon, so I thought, okay, I'll just bring it in and I'll let you guys know this is.
Cause those questions that April just asked should solve it if they're missing.
If they were not on the plans, what does that tell you?
So if they're not on the plans, then they should have known, then we didn't have any responsibility
'Cause I-
to make sure it was correct.
On the building application, the building permit application, there is a place where you put the setbacks. You have to fill in front, rear, side setbacks. I know there's a space for that. And then I don't know if building height is on the building permit application, but I know setbacks are.
Then it's if those things are in fact there, and then it's proving against.
The
It's
town.
pretty-
Right, so
Yeah,
just
it's
the zoning administrator signs off on the applications, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, so he should have caught that, it was shown incorrectly.
so,
We need to figure out what all the tax are.
yes, I agree, but I just wanted you guys to be aware that this was being requested. And, it's like I was saying, even with the thing with the GIS mapping, it's not something I normally would bring to the town council. But I thought this came up just yesterday, and so I thought, well, you know what, I'm just gonna throw this out there so you guys know this is going on, and this is going on, and this is going on, and this is going on, even though this is administrative, not legislative, but I thought that you guys might like to be aware. So that's what this is about, and my battery just ran out on my computer, so so that was perfect timing. If there's nothing else, we can adjourn.
Nothing else, as far as, just for a thought process, are we looking to keep this, and I know we're gonna discuss this, but are we looking to keep the same Tuesday, Thursdays that we've been doing for next week?
I was thinking of that, and you guys not like it? I mean, the reason we said this way, there were two reasons that we first moved our meetings to Tuesday. And that's because when we had our Wednesday meetings, every single year, our meetings in November and December conflicted with the holidays. We had to move the meetings every single year. The meetings in November and December had to be moved. And then there were times where we would call Heath and say, hey, we're gonna do this, can you be here? It's like, no, I have a conflict, I have enough town that night. And we worked out with Heath that if we went on this Tuesday night, the third Tuesday of the month, he was free and there were no conflicts with other towns that he had to do. So that's why we went to that meeting. And then the Thursday for the plant work meetings came about because if the town council wants to appeal a decision that the planning commission made on approving a conditional use permit, we only have 5 days to appeal. And so we would constantly be setting, special meetings. Are you available? Are you available? Are you available? We need the special meeting. And this all came up because of the conditional use permit that was issued for White Bison, and I wanted us to appeal, and we could not get a meeting in the 5 days limits. And so ultimately, we ended up with, and that's if the town council wanted to appeal. And ultimately, it ended up that Lauren and April did the appeal. They could do this appeal themselves, but if the town council wanted to appeal, we had 5 days.
Well,
And so I set us a work meeting the next day after, in case there was ever something we wanted to appeal, we had time to do it.
is that ordinance provisions changed now, or are we still that same?
It's still the same.
If I could ask, Wednesdays honestly are
Better for you?
better, it's like, I have to arrange.
Well, that's what
But Tuesdays are fine, but we don't have to change that, that is not a problem, it's just our work meeting. if we
The
could.
Thursday work meeting.
I have a question.
Planning and zoning has Wednesday meetings.
Yeah, if they can, I hope they can adjust.
But if we kept our Tuesday meeting, if planning and zoning moved theirs to Tuesday and
Then we
had
can
our
have
work meeting
on
on
Wednesday.
Wednesday, which would give me time to do the agenda Thursday instead of Monday.
Yeah, it's in town, it's in the planning commission with the.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Or
I
we
get it.
move ours to a different week.
Well,
It would work so nicely doing it that way if they just moved it one and then our work.
and
And then our work.
but the
meeting
thing
would be
is,
on
if we
Wednesday.
move ours to another day, if we go back to a Wednesday, back to the fourth Wednesday, what it always
But then
was,
it's,
then we're back to the same thing.
yeah, but then it's
Thanks
Tuesday,
to holidays.
Wednesday, Wednesday.
But, yeah,
We still have the alternating.
No, I'm just saying if we move our Tuesday regular meetings from Tuesdays to some other week and some other day,
No,
we're gonna.
we're
that's-
saying leave the
I thought-
Tuesday, we're
no,
talking about
because I thought you
Wednesday,
wanted to
right?
change the Tuesday meetings to something else.
I'm saying Tuesdays are regular meetings and Wednesdays are work meetings.
I understand, I heard that.
Yeah.
He wanted to change the regular meeting from Tuesdays to something
Oh.
else.
no,
That's what I thought I heard.
what I'm raising is what works better for everybody. Obviously, Wednesday for Misty. My preference, and it never got legs last time, is I like maybe a Monday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, but doesn't give Crystal enough time to do the agenda,
Correct.
which is a problem.
And I'm back in the same boat if you move it to a Monday.
And the problem was, is I wanted to, where,
Okay,
because we take up so much time of our citizens, board members, that it kind of takes away when you do a Thursday and then a Tuesday tied to two
yes,
weekends.
I get it,
So, but if we do a Wednesday,
that could work.
that could work,
And
and
then, as Crystal said, that gives her a day to do the agenda.
And it's just about working.
But that way the citizens know that Tuesdays are always regular meetings, because they get confused right now going a Wednesday and a Tuesday. But then they know Tuesdays are always regular meetings and Wednesdays are work
Yeah,
meetings.
Tuesday doesn't change. That's the, not the one we're
I
talking
know,
about.
but I'm saying if planning and zoning moved theirs too.
Tuesday,
Oh, then
all the regular meetings would be on
Or
Tuesday.
Tuesdays and then
Well,
work meetings.
And then our meetings would all be on Wednesdays.
and what I would say also,
I don't see
the
why not.
option is, we could change our week, so we're not
Right.
interfering with planning.
But and we're, if we're just
But we're
moving
not.
our work meeting to a Wednesday, work meetings are flexible. We can move it if we need to move it to a Thursday one time, or if we need to do something for a special meeting or whatever.
Yeah, work meetings
To
aren't so
move
set
the
in
work
stone.
meeting to the next day, it wouldn't,
So,
it's a pain, but it would be better than
so what
it being
days,
all the time.
what days are planning and zoning?
Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday is their regular. They never change anything.
But
It's always
theirs
the
is the
second
third,
Wednesday.
theirs is the
Second
second Wednesday.
Wednesday. And so what Crystal is proposing is they get the second Tuesday
Tuesday.
Yeah, just
instead of
bump
the second
everybody a
Thursday.
day up.
And they want their work meeting
The
the
day
day
after.
after your regular meeting.
Just like we have our work meeting the day after their regular meeting, they want their work meeting the day after our regular.
So they know what they're gonna put on their
Agenda,
hearing.
so they know what they got
It's only bumping everybody one day.
day, yes.
And it's for their regular meetings and our work meetings.
Yes.
So the question is, before we can do any of that, is would planning commission be willing to move their meetings to one day?
Phil.
Well, I don't see why not, but I think we need to talk to Darlene and have Darlene contact.
The town council,
Yeah.
the planning
I
commission.
mean, Kent has the same, I mean, he comes from St. George.
Yeah.
I'm sure Darlene is fine. Larry,
So why couldn't we do the first Wednesday of the month?
For what?
Work meeting, and then our,
Because if we do the first Wednesday of the month, that's before the town planning commission even has their planning commission meeting.
yeah, well,
No, the whole point is to do it after the planning commission
well,
meeting.
that was based on appeals from conditional use permits, and how many conditional use permits have we had since that?
I don't know, but but the whole point was so that we could appeal. And if we go and start saying, well, now we don't need that, and then we get a new town council that comes in this next election, let's say there's a new mayor, new planning commission, and all of a sudden we're back at the same place we were before, where all of a sudden we've got issues with the planning commission that we need to appeal, and then we have to change our meetings again. So it just, the whole point was so that if
I really
appeal
don't together. I don't wanna have a meeting in the first week and then one in the third.
I kind of agree because the third week and then you're,
I like the way it's set up now that way.
just, okay,
Cause
I
it,
just
it
like,
flows nicely where
we have our work meeting and then we already know what's on our.
So I honestly think if we can talk to planning and zoning and bump it a day, that's the solution.
One extra day between work meeting and our regular meeting.
And it helps our
Great.
clerk out to do that as well for both, in both planning and zoning and town council.
Yeah, I'm for it, so.
So who's gonna call her?
Fine. She's probably online.
Probably listening.
No, she's not online anymore.
Okay, she got it. She gave us.
I'd like to talk to her.
But I have a lot of stuff, this is unusual for our work meeting, that we went this late and that I had this many things to talk about. But it was also because we're not having a work meeting in December, so I jammed them together. And there were all these other things that came up just in the last few days. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna throw that on
Do you
there.
wanna mention the 19th to them?
We're having a Christmas party on December 19th at George's.
And what's that,
That's a Thursday.
Or
Thursday?
I'll give you guys a formal invitation, so. Clear your calendar.
Donnie also already has some, he needs attention. and-
Right, that's why I asked, yeah, let's see what.
Where there were benefits. But no, I'd say. I mean, the meeting, okay, but she probably got out tonight. but she-
Oh, 'cause we had-
No, that's fine, no, we were just.
Yeah.
Yeah, so night before Saturday.
Yeah, we knew that, I knew
That's,
that.
semifinals in football.
So we're in December over already.
I need to go.
Well, my wife's already messed up by traveling on that weekend anyway.
I have to take visitors home, so.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.